I'm Emily. I got married a few years ago and started dealing with my sister-in-law, Olivia. I genuinely wanted to get along with her, but that was my wish, not Olivia's. Olivia had no intention of being friendly with me. In fact, she always looked down on me and even saw me as just a source of money. It became crystal clear when Olivia said this over the phone. "Sorry, but if you're looking for your debit card, give it up. I have it." "What do you mean? Emily's money is mine, right? So it's okay if I use it all. My money is mine, not Olivia's." "Are you serious? Stop joking." I could hear Olivia laughing on the other end of the phone. Sadly, I had to admit it. Olivia was my enemy, and we couldn't get along. As soon as I realized that, all I could think about was getting back at Olivia. While thinking about how to retaliate, Olivia, looking triumphant, said, "Whatever you do, Emily, you're part of the family now, so it's natural for you to give everything to our family, right?" "That's... By the way, I bought a car with your debit card." "Is that true?" "The bank tellers would know it's not me, so I couldn't withdraw the money, so I took it out from the ATM in multiple transactions." "So that's why you were gone this past week?" "Exactly. Give up on the debit card balance too." Olivia laughed heartily. She seemed to be in a very good mood, so it was time for some payback. "Then I'll make sure you give up on the debit card and the money." "Huh? What are you talking about all of a sudden?" "Well, you said it, Olivia. Give up on the debit card and the money." "I said it, but the one who's giving up is Emily." "Why is that?" "It's obvious. It's Emily's debit card." "Did you actually check the name on the debit card?" "I didn't need to. It was in Emily's house on the shelf." Olivia raised her voice. But I wasn't scared. In fact, I was pleased with her inadvertent confession. I decided to clarify things for Olivia. "There seems to be a misunderstanding, so let me explain it to you properly, Olivia." Then I began to recount the story from the time I married my husband, Benjamin. The in-laws' house doubled as a metal fabrication factory, with my father-in-law Jackson as the president, my mother-in-law Ava as the office clerk, and the rest of the employees. It was a surprisingly large company with dozens of staff members, so I was fully committed to supporting my in-laws. But I quickly sensed something was off. For some reason, Ava always looked extremely tired. "Is clerical work that exhausting?" Concerned, I approached Ava. "Ava, are you all right?" "I'm fine. It's just that 2 clerks resigned at once, leaving me alone. I'm just tired." "Alone?" "They're getting married, so we couldn't retain them. I'm just trying to manage by myself." As Ava explained, it was a coincidence that the clerks resigned simultaneously. Consequently, Ava was handling the company's clerical work alone. There were no applicants for the clerical position, and there was no prospect of new hires. I used to work as a clerk, so if you're okay with it, I can help you out." "That would be great help. We can't pay you much, but we'll pay you, please." And so I started assisting at Jackson's company. Of course, with my clerical experience, I was an immediate asset. Jackson was thrilled. However, Benjamin was concerned about me balancing housework and the job. "Just until we find the next clerk, all right?" "I understand, but I enjoy working with Ava, and the environment is better than my previous job, so I don't want to quit." Benjamin didn't say anything more after my response. In fact, I genuinely enjoyed the work. Ava was considerate, and above all, I felt useful, a feeling I hadn't experienced in my previous job. So I wanted to continue working there as long as possible. Then one day, during work, Ava suddenly exclaimed, "Oh, I forgot to go to the post office." "Shall I go?" "No need, Emily. I'll do some shopping on the way back, too." With that, Ava hurriedly left. Immediately after, as if waiting for the right moment, Olivia appeared in the company's office. "It's been a while, Emily." "Olivia, what brings you here today?" "I was just passing by and decided to drop in." Olivia smiled. I recalled that Emily didn't have a steady job. When I was getting married and we had the family meeting, she said she was working part-time, but she seemed to have quit shortly after and was unemployed at the time of the wedding. She mentioned working in a restaurant later, but I wondered what her current situation was. As I hesitated whether it was appropriate to ask about her private life, Olivia spoke to me. "Hey, can I ask you something? Are you getting paid, Emily?" "Well, I am officially employed as a clerk, so yes, I do receive a small salary." To be honest, I wouldn't have minded working without a salary, but Jackson insisted it was more convenient for various reasons to employ me officially as a clerk. Nevertheless, it wasn't a substantial salary. I was treated as a novice clerk. Since I needed to return home on time for household chores, it was indeed a modest salary. However, Olivia was unaware of these details. As soon as she learned that I was getting paid, Olivia glared at me. "So, why don't you share a little?" "Share? What do you mean?" "Dull, aren't you? Your salary! Your salary! Are you asking to borrow money?" When I asked her back, Olivia adopted a condescending attitude. "Of course I'm not. I'm telling you to give me your salary." "My salary? Ah, you really are slow. Just hand over the money quickly." Olivia advanced towards me. She immediately spotted the small safe on my desk. "That's it. That one." Olivia grabbed the small safe. "Wait a minute, You're going to say it's the company's money, aren't you?" "Yes, that's right." "Stupid. This is Dad's company. The company's money is Dad's money. So it's fine if I, his daughter, use it." That's not how it works. No matter how much I tried to explain, Olivia wouldn't understand. This was bad. She was going to take the money. I resisted with all my might, but it was futile. Eventually, Olivia forcibly opened the safe and took out some money. "Thanks, I'll be taking this." "Please return it. What should I tell Ava?" "That's not my problem. Just make something up. Bye." Leaving me stunned, Olivia casually left the office. What should I do? I didn't know the exact amount Olivia had taken. Right, I should count what's left. I counted the money in the safe while referring to the company's ledger. $250 missing. I opened my own wallet. It's nowhere near enough. What should I do? I was at a loss. Telling Ava the truth was one option, but then Olivia might hold a grudge against me. The thought of her seeking revenge made me hesitate to tell Ava, but since I didn't have enough money in my wallet either, I couldn't even cover the shortage and pretend nothing happened. While I was agonizing over this, time passed and Ava returned. "I'm back." "Oh, Emily, you look pale. Are you feeling okay?" "Ava, actually..." Feeling cornered, I chose to tell the truth. Ava listened to my story quietly and finally said, "There's no need for you to apologize. She's really a handful." Ava seemed to have her own struggles with Olivia. She frowned, deep in thought. I hesitantly asked Ava, "About the money she took, could you please deduct it from my salary? I'll compensate for it." "It's okay, Emily. I, as parent, will take responsibility. But in return, may I ask a favor of you?" With those words, Ava made a request. She asked that the next time Olivia came to the company's office, I should record the conversation using a mobile phone or a digital voice recorder. Anything that could capture the audio. "What will you do with the recording?" "Olivia is an adult. She needs to be accountable for her actions." "Well, that's true. For evidence, to eventually make Olivia face the consequences of her actions." From that day, I kept my promise with Ava and always carried a digital voice recorder with me. Even so, I doubted Olivia would repeat the same actions. It's illegal, right? She won't do it again. I wasn't clear on the specific laws, but I was sure what Olivia had done couldn't be legal. I believed she wouldn't be back. However, Olivia didn't seem to care about the law. About a week later, when Ava was out, Olivia appeared. "Emily, how have you been?" "Olivia, what brings you here?" While responding, I started recording with the digital voice recorder. "I ran out of money, so I came to get some from Emily." "I won't give you any." "What? You gave me some last time." "You just took it forcefully." "Either way, you covered up for me, right?" "I can't admit that. I can't say I told Ava the whole truth. If I did, Olivia would likely escape. Then I wouldn't be able to collect the evidence Ava had asked for." I dodged the question. Then Olivia mistakenly thought I hadn't told Ava. "You covered it up, didn't you? Then lend me some money today." "No!" Shut up! How can you be part of this family and still defy me? What ridiculous reasoning! While I was dumbfounded by her audacity, Olivia slowly approached me. You're Benjamin's wife. It's unimaginable for a sister-in-law to defy you. That's... Just be quiet and hand over the safe. Olivia banged on the desk. At that moment, Ava, who was supposed to be out, returned. Olivia, what are you doing here? A stunned Olivia stood there. Mom! Without a steady job, begging Emily for money. Don't you feel ashamed at all? Well, what about it, Olivia? Shut up! I work part-time, that's enough. How long will a grown adult work part-time? Everyone else is getting jobs or getting married. It's my life, Mom! It's none of your business. Besides, I have a partner too. Angry, Olivia shouted those words and stormed out of the office. With Olivia gone, I felt a slight sense of relief. Ava, thank you. It's okay. Now that she's been caught by me, Olivia might think twice. Ava spoke in such a way, but I couldn't feel the same. Knowing Olivia, I was sure she would come to me when Ava wasn't around. This thought left me endlessly anxious. Not long after, during a visit to the in-laws' house on a holiday, Ava showed me something. Actually, I received a wedding invitation from Olivia. It was indeed a wedding invitation. The groom's name was Brian. I didn't recognize the name, but Ava seemed familiar with him and looked worried. The groom, he's the son of our factory manager. The factory manager? The factory manager had been with Jackson's company for a long time and was the person Jackson trusted most. I had met him. He was strict about work. After some thought, I asked Ava, has the factory manager said anything about his son's marriage? It seems he was unaware. He was quite shocked. Is that so? But now that it has come to this, we have no choice but to celebrate. We can't oppose it at this stage. Ava seemed to have resigned herself to the situation. Later, Olivia truly married Brian. See, I have a marriage partner. Congratulations, Olivia. Are you satisfied now? More importantly, how will you two manage to live from now on? When Ava asked, Olivia suddenly fell silent. I realized she hadn't thought about it at all, but since it was Olivia's big day, I didn't want to make a scene. I pretended not to notice, and Ava seemed to think the same. Do you have a new home? We'll figure that out later. I guess we can't help it. For now, you two can live in our apartment. Really? We're saying we'll move out. That's the most we can do. Is that okay? But in return, we won't support you financially. You both need to work, even if it's part-time, and make an effort. Understood. Olivia reluctantly agreed. It baffled me how she could be so cheeky when getting a house was already more than enough. I felt sorry for Ava. Perhaps thinking the same, Benjamin spoke to Ava. Then Mom and Dad can stay with us. That's okay. Jackson and I have already discussed and decided on a new place. I see. But it's not ready for immediate move-in, so it would help if you could store some of our belongings. Sure. I felt relieved. And I thought that getting married would make Olivia more responsible. No more trouble, I hoped. But less than a week later, Olivia caused another problem. It happened the day after Olivia and Brian moved into the in-laws' house. While Benjamin and I were preparing to go to work, Ava called. Ava, what's happened? Emily, sorry to call you so early in the morning. Has Olivia come to your place? Ava explained that after leaving the in-laws' house, they planned to stay at a hotel for a while. Meanwhile, Olivia and Brian would move into the in-laws' house, and we would store the parents-in-law's belongings at our place. Everything was supposed to be settled, but Ava was quite concerned about whether Olivia could manage properly. So she went back to check on Olivia this morning. However, for some reason, both Olivia and Brian were missing. Yesterday, Olivia and Brian helped move the in-laws' house belongings to my place, so Ava thought that they might have stayed at my house. No, Olivia and Brian went home. Then I wonder where they could be. Maybe on their honeymoon? It's possible. Anyway, if you hear from them, let me know. With that, Ava hung up. Afterward, I told Benjamin about the situation. He didn't know anything either. Well, it wasn't my concern, so I decided to wait for Olivia to contact me. But no matter how long I waited, there was no word. Days passed, one after another. After a week, even I started to worry. Ava was getting anxious and even talked about filing a missing person report with the police. It was during this conversation at my house when suddenly Ava stood up. "I need to get my debit card." "Why?" "I need to withdraw some money. If we have to search ourselves, we'll need funds." Understanding her point, I watched Ava go to the next room. But as soon as she entered, "My debit card is gone!" her loud voice echoed. Benjamin and I rushed to the next room. We found Ava collapsed in front of a shelf, which was empty. "Did you keep your debit card here?" Ava nodded frantically. "This shelf was moved here earlier, right?" The in-laws' move actually happened in 2 phases. The first was the day after Olivia's wedding. The second was a week ago, the day before Olivia disappeared. It was only a few days apart due to work schedules. Anyway, Ava was in front of the shelf that was moved during the first phase. But since then, neither Benjamin nor I had touched the shelf. "I didn't touch it and neither did Emily. Are you sure it's not a mistake, Mom?" "It can't be. It was definitely here." "But—" Benjamin and Ava started arguing for some reason. As I was confused, my mobile phone rang. Amidst the chaos, I answered my phone. Perhaps my tone of voice revealed my frustration, because the person on the other end pointed it out. "What's the matter? You sound displeased." It was Olivia, and my eyes widened. Then, gesturing to Ava and Benjamin to be quiet, "Is that you, Olivia?" I asked. Both Ava and Benjamin turned in surprise and fell silent, staring at me. I nodded and asked again. "It's Olivia, right?" "Of course, who else would it be?" Olivia sounded annoyed. "Where are you? We've been looking for you." "Where I am doesn't matter. I have something to talk to Emily about," Olivia said, laughing. Then she confessed to stealing the debit card and buying a car with the money from that card. She even had the nerve to try and claim that the money was hers. Frustrated, I recounted everything that had happened, and finally I said this to her. "So Ava's debit card has gone missing, and we were just arguing about it." "Mom's debit card?" "Yes, the debit card you have, Olivia. Whose name is on it? Is it my name?" "What do you think?" I heard a hurried rustling through the phone. It was just a guess, but I was certain Olivia had stolen the card. She must have taken Ava's debit card by mistake when moving the in-laws' belongings to our house. But since Ava hadn't had the opportunity to withdraw money, she only noticed the card was missing today. It's been a week since Ava's card was stolen. I was thinking the balance would have been depleted by now when a loud voice came through the phone. "This is Mom's!" I thought so. The moment I murmured, my mobile phone disappeared from my hand. Turning around, I saw Ava, her face filled with anger, holding my phone. "Olivia, you've been heard this whole time." "Mom? Why?" "We were about to file a missing person report for Olivia, and then she calls." "But you didn't hear the voice, did you?" "We heard everything. Emily put it on speakerphone." Yes, I had allowed Ava to hear our conversation as a way to get back at Olivia. So Ava had heard about Olivia stealing the debit card and buying a car with it. Hence, Ava was red with rage. "What are you doing?" As Ava scolded, I heard Olivia's loud voice apologizing. "I'm sorry." "Taking the company's money as you please, stealing debit cards. You need to stop." "Forgive me." "I won't forgive you. Come back right now." "Okay." Olivia's voice was like a wail, followed by a loud noise. I had a gut feeling what had happened. "Olivia?" Ava asked, but there was no reply. After a while, Olivia's response came through. "Help! Supermarket!" Then the call was cut off. But it wasn't hard to guess. Olivia, engrossed in the conversation, must have accidentally pressed the car's accelerator. She probably drove from the supermarket parking lot straight into the store. Indeed, my guess was mostly correct. Soon the police contacted us to report that Olivia's car had crashed into a supermarket. Both Olivia and Brian were in the car, but fortunately they weren't injured. However, they weren't insured, so they were quickly informed they'd have to pay for the damages themselves. Naturally, Ava was furious and went to pick up Olivia. Brian's parents did the same. Especially Brian's father, the factory manager, reportedly said this to Olivia when he picked her up. "It seems that getting married means giving everything you have, doesn't it?" That was something Olivia had once said to me. Of course, letting Ava listen to our conversation was just the start of my revenge. I had recorded everything meticulously and made sure the factory manager, Brian's dad, heard it too. Since Olivia herself said those words, she couldn't deny them. The factory manager continued to Olivia and Brian. "Since you two are broke, work under my supervision. Give me all your time." And so Olivia and Brian ended up working at the factory under the factory manager's watchful eye. It was just as well since they had no other jobs, and it was a way for them to earn their living expenses. Moreover, Ava and Jackson moved back into the in-laws' house and started monitoring Olivia and Brian's private life. In short, they were supervised by the factory manager during the day, and after that, Ava and Jackson kept an eye on them at the in-laws' house. Such a daily routine must have been hard. When I saw Olivia at the factory, she said through tears, "Please forgive me. I'll do anything." Then work and pay back the money. When I said that, Olivia just crumbled. I'll never forget how pitiful she looked then. Part of me felt it served her right, yet I also felt a bit sorry for her. But it was her responsibility after all. By the way, shortly after that, I quit my job as a clerk. One reason was that a new clerk had been hired. Another reason was that I found out I was pregnant. So I'm thinking of taking it easy for a while and taking care of myself.
From today on, you'll be the one taking care of Mom. Caden's wife, Bonnie, said to their younger brother, Danny, forcefully pushing the wheelchair I was sitting in towards him. "Wait a minute, I can't just suddenly take on that responsibility. Give me a little more time." Before Danny could finish, Caden and Bonnie got into their car and drove away. It all happened in the blink of an eye. Caden had always been somewhat indifferent, but to think that he would abandon his own mother, me. Danny's wife, Cindy, poked her head out from the room on the left side of the entrance, laughing. "Caden and Bonnie really don't get it, do they?" Cindy's remark made me laugh, too. She was absolutely right. I'm glad we prepared for this in advance. Caden and Bonnie will soon regret what they've done. I never imagined I'd end up in a wheelchair. A few years ago, I, Agnes, had an accident on my way home from work and lost the ability to move my lower body. Since then, I've had to live life in a wheelchair. Being forced into this new lifestyle at nearly 60 was challenging at first. I was already divorced from my gambling addict husband, and both of my children had married and moved out. I didn't always have someone to rely on, which only added to my despair. During this time, my younger son Danny and his wife Cindy were there for me. "If there's anything we can do, just let us know." They would come over during breaks from their work. Danny and Cindy would say, taking care of the house. Danny, who had just started his own business, was incredibly busy, but nevertheless dedicated in looking after me. When Danny and Cindy couldn't come, they arranged for a home caregiver to ensure I was never in need. Helping family in trouble is just what you do. That's right, Agnes. Especially in times like these, we need to help each other. We're family, after all. Whenever I felt guilty, Danny and Cindy would always respond that way. I always knew Danny was a kind soul, but his kindness became even more apparent in this situation. In contrast, there was my older son, Caden. "If you're okay, then I don't need to come, right? I'm pretty busy now." When I told Caden about my new life in a wheelchair, he seemed concerned at first. But as soon as I said I was fine, he ended the call quickly. And since then, he hadn't contacted me at all. He had always been indifferent, lacking a sense of conscience. He always had plenty to say to me, and we often used to argue. I still remember how he treated me when I caught a cold and couldn't cook a meal. "Mom, you should always sacrifice yourself for your kids, right? Being born to a parent like you, I guess I'm just unlucky," Caden said coldly, looking down at me as I lay feverish. I can't forget the coldness in his eyes. Similar incidents had occurred several times since then. It was not surprising given Caden's nature, but it was still a shock. However, surprisingly, Caden recently started visiting my house. "Mom, how are you feeling?" he and Bonnie would ask when they came to visit, which really took me aback. Lately, Danny and his wife had become busier as their business took off and couldn't visit as often. Seemingly aware of this, Caden and Bonnie started to come by more frequently. They helped around the house just like Danny and his wife did. "It's tough for you alone. We'll try to drop by more often," Caden said with a refreshing smile, making me wonder if he really was the same person. From then on, Caden and Bonnie indeed came every weekend. They were both kind and considerate, as if everything in the past had been a lie. At first, I was shocked at how much Caden had changed and wondered why, but gradually I started to feel that meeting Bonnie had been good for him. The way Caden looked at Bonnie was filled with kindness. Maybe something in Caden's heart had changed during the time he spent with her. I was grateful to Bonnie for changing Caden. "Mom, it's been a while. I finally managed to come." That's what Danny said when he visited after half a year. That day, Caden and Bonnie were also at the house. Although I was delighted to have the family together, the expressions on Caden and Bonnie's faces were stern. "You hardly cared about Mom until now, yet you show up like this?" Caden snapped as soon as he saw Danny. "I wanted to come, but I've been busy with work. I'm sorry." "Are you saying we're just sitting around? Even though we're busy, we make time to come here. How can you say something like that?" Danny looked downcast and muttered, "I'm sorry." Danny and Cindy were really supportive after the accident. My gratitude doesn't change just because they couldn't come for a while. Moreover, I question whether Caden, who didn't visit at the time of the accident, has the right to blame Danny. Caden's rant didn't stop even as Danny apologized. "If you were worried about Mom, you'd make the time to come no matter how busy. Showing up now. You're not here for the insurance money, are you?" "Enough!" I shouted. I couldn't bear Caden's baseless accusations. My outburst silenced Caden, but of course the atmosphere turned sour. Danny and his wife helped with the household chores as usual, but they seemed uncomfortable throughout. It must have been very awkward for them. Despite coming all the way here, Danny and his family left in a hurry. The long-awaited reunion ended in disappointment. "I can't believe they came all this way just to leave," I muttered, causing Caden to look angry. "They're strange, showing up out of the blue like that." "That's not true. Before you and Bonnie started coming, Danny took great care of me," I retorted, and Caden just scoffed. "Maybe that's their strategy." I asked what he meant, but Caden didn't answer. Instead, Bonnie spoke up. "Caden is just worried. Even if it's not about the insurance, it's strange that Danny and Cindy would suddenly start coming around. Maybe they're planning something?" Bonnie seemed to agree with Caden, who nodded. "Maybe their company isn't doing well, so they're trying to cozy up to you, hoping for some financial help." "Stop it." I couldn't bear to listen any longer. Raising my voice made Caden and Bonnie quiet down. "Thank you for helping, but I think it's best you leave for today." I practically forced Caden and his wife out. Why did it have to come to this? I was so sad, I felt like crying. A few days later, I received a phone call. It was Cindy. "Agnes, I need to talk to you. You might not believe this, but..." Cindy started speaking seriously, her voice more severe than I'd ever heard, stirring up anxiety. "Actually, the last time we were over, I overheard Caden and Bonnie saying, 'Soon this house will be ours.' It seems like they're planning to drive you out." I was so shocked I couldn't think straight. Cindy apparently heard Caden and Bonnie talking. "Just a little more convincing and we can get Mom out. Then this house will be ours. Old folks will believe anything if you're convincing enough. It's easy." They were laughing about it, according to Cindy. I can't believe it. I didn't doubt Cindy, but it was hard to believe that Caden would deceive me for the sake of the house. "I understand how you feel, but please, look at this." The screen of her phone lit up. It seemed Cindy had sent me a video. While on the phone, I watched the video. There were Caden and Bonnie, saying just what Cindy had told me. I nearly collapsed from shock. Caden's change of heart was just a ruse to deceive me. If he could get me out, the house would be his. He had been kind to me, trying to gain my trust for that purpose. I had almost fallen for their scheme. While I was silent, Cindy spoke up again. "So I have a suggestion. What if we demolish the house? If you don't want to hand it over to Caden and Bonnie, demolishing it might be an option." Danny's voice faintly reached me from the background. It seemed like Cindy had put the phone on speaker, and now Danny's voice came through more clearly. "Sorry for bringing this up so suddenly," he said, then started to speak. "The house is old, isn't it? I've always wondered what your plans were to do with it. If you're not thinking of passing it on to Caden or me, maybe it's just a good idea to clear the land?" The sudden proposal left me feeling quite bewildered. I hadn't given much thought to what to do with the house. I assumed the children would decide. That's what I had in mind. So being asked to make a decision so suddenly left me puzzled. "It's a big decision, so take your time. But please be careful around Caden and Bonnie. You never know what they're planning." With those parting words, Danny hung up. For about a week, I pondered deeply. The house was bought with hard work by both of us before my husband got hooked on gambling. It's filled with both good and bad memories. What's the best thing to do? While caressing the pillar where Caden and Danny's heights were marked, I kept thinking. Even during that week, Caden and Bonnie kept visiting. Danny and Cindy have been coming around a lot lately. Wonder what they're up to. "Maybe they're after your money. You shouldn't give in to them." Bonnie's smile stirred anger within me. "It's you two who are trying to take from me, isn't it?" I endured and tried to behave normally. Knowing Caden and Bonnie's true intentions made their kindness feel deceitful. Rather than letting Caden and Bonnie have their way with the house, I might as well. I made up my mind, picked up my mobile phone, and made a call. After a while, Caden and his group came to the house again. As soon as they entered, Caden started calling Danny. "Danny, I have something important to discuss. Can I come over to your place?" Caden spoke briefly with Danny and then hung up. "We'd like to have an important discussion with Danny and his family. It involves you, Agnes, so we'd like you to join us." With those words, Bonnie smiled. I obediently got into the car as told. It took about 3 hours to drive to Danny's house. Danny and Cindy had been commuting this distance for me. Thinking about it made me feel grateful yet somewhat guilty. A strange mix of emotions. Upon reaching Danny's house, without waiting for Bonnie and me to get out of the car, Caden briskly walked towards the entrance. As soon as Danny appeared, Caden said, "From today on, you'll be the one taking care of Mom." Bonnie pushed the wheelchair I was sitting in towards Danny as if thrusting me at him. "Just wait a minute. You can't spring this on me. We need to talk more." Danny was cut off mid-sentence as Bonnie began to speak. "This is assisted living, isn't it? It was so difficult to get here with the house being near the mountains. We've done our part taking care of Agnes. Now it's your turn." With a dismissive smile, Bonnie said this, and she and Caden got into their car and left. It all happened so fast. Left behind, I was welcomed into Danny's home. "I can't believe they actually left you," Danny murmured with disappointment. Footsteps echoed as Cindy came out of a room on the left side of the entrance, laughing. "Caden and Bonnie really don't get it, do they?" Cindy laughed so much that I ended up laughing too. I wondered how they would react when they realized things didn't go as they planned. Just imagining it made me laugh even more. Danny, who believed in Caden until the end, watched us with a complex expression. "Mom, what's going on?" It was about 5 days after I was kicked out of the house that I got a call from Caden. "What's wrong? What's going on?" I tried to sound as calm as possible. Caden seemed irritated. "What do you mean, what's going on, damn it?" he muttered. "Just now, some company showed up at the house saying they're starting demolition work and kicked us out." The company Caden was talking about must have been the one I had arranged. Following Danny's suggestion, I had decided to demolish the house. I had managed to complete the procedures before Caden and his wife could take over. Feeling relieved, but then they showed up. "What's going on? We were planning to live in that house. We even gave up our apartment. What are you going to do about it?" It turned out that Caden and Bonnie, after kicking me out, had moved their belongings into the house and started living there. But today they were relaxing at home when the company arrived and were unceremoniously kicked out. I have no idea about that. I just decided what to do with the house and chose to demolish it. Caden, infuriated by my calm response, started yelling over the phone. Don't mess around! That house is mine too! Don't do whatever you want! Who's the one being unreasonable? Kicking me out of the house and trying to make it your own? That house was bought with hard work by me and Dad. I'll do what I want with it. I shouted this into the mobile phone and then hung up. After that, Caden kept calling and emailing me. I was taking care of you. The least you could do is give me the house. When I received that email, I felt unbearable anger. I appreciate the help you gave, but that's separate from the house. I don't want to see the face of someone trying to deceive their parent. I don't want to see your wife's face either. Goodbye. That was my reply. Before Caden could contact me again, I set my phone to block his calls. Unable to reach me, Caden apparently visited Danny's house several times, but no one was there anymore. We had already moved. Lost and without options, Caden eventually left. When I told Danny about my decision to demolish the house, he made another suggestion. Cindy and I were talking and we were wondering, Mom, would you like to work at my company? I was taken aback by Danny's sudden offer. That's a generous offer, but are you sure? Our company's administrative department just had a vacancy. It was unexpected and we haven't posted a job listing yet. You've always worked as an administrative officer, Mom, so it seemed like a perfect fit. Danny added, of course, it was only if I felt comfortable with it. I gladly accepted. If I was leaving my home, I needed to find a new job anyway. But at my age and in a wheelchair, finding work wasn't going to be easy. Danny's proposal was a blessing. And if you're okay with it, how about moving in together? Cindy continued speaking, oblivious to my astonishment. I've always known we'd live with you one day. That's what Danny told me before we got married. So I was prepared to move in together. I was surprised to learn this new information. I had no idea Danny and Cindy cared for me so deeply. Moved by their kindness, I felt tears welling up. Thank you, I whispered, my voice breaking. You've always worked so hard for the family, Mom. Seeing how hard you worked, I've always vowed to repay you someday, so please don't ever think you're a burden to us, Danny said, a bit embarrassed. His unchanged kindness since he was a child made me feel that all the struggles were worth it. After moving to Danny's house, we soon relocated to a new home. Danny's current place was rented, but he had recently built a new house. I wanted to surprise you, so I kept it a secret, Danny said with a smile. I was constantly amazed by Danny and his family. Mom, you don't have to go to work, so please take care of the house. With a gesture of apology, Danny hurried out. Apparently, they had just received a large order, even though it was a weekend. Danny had to go to work. Cindy, my grandchild in my arms, and I waved goodbye as Danny rushed off. It's been a little over a year since that incident. In that time, Danny and Cindy had a beautiful child, and Cindy is now focused on parenting. The baby's big eyes are just like Cindy's, and the mouth is the spitting image of Danny. The baby has the best features of both, a truly adorable face. Raising a child now is different from when I did it. Everything is more convenient, and with 3 adults around, it's easier to give the child undivided attention, creating a loving and peaceful home. I look forward to watching my grandchild grow, and I'm enjoying my current job. I can't afford to tire out yet. Holding my grandchild, that's what I thought to myself.